Garrett Crochet's huge night leads the Boston Red Sox to a massive Game 1 win over the Yankees.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and currently the host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's all free. So make sure you tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the show. It truly is a happy Wednesday indeed. Wow. What a win for the Boston Red Sox last night. I am so freaking excited. I hope you are too. I literally cannot even contain it right now. My heart was pounding for the entirety of that game. And after watching a couple games before that, earlier in the day, and having to wait to watch your favorite team play, that is dreadful and insanely stressful. And I was so scared. But the Red Sox did it. They pulled it out in a game in which Max Fried was incredibly tough. And the Red Sox were not hitting him well, but they found a way. And that is a big key and theme for this Red Sox team this postseason is find a way. I'm going to be discussing all about this game on today's show, including the dominance of Garrett Crochet once again, and why it was a big night for Craig Breslow, as well as taking a brief Game 2 look ahead. But wow, was this fun afterwards as a Red Sox fan. It's funny because it's so stressful when you're watching your team play in a playoff game, and people think that it's going to be this big enjoyable thing, but it's really not. It's more stressful than anything else. And the beauty of postseason baseball is that anything truly can happen. The Red Sox went into a series in the Bronx in which they were very clearly not favored, and they took Game 1, a huge, huge test against a team that has been there, done that. They have the experience in the playoffs. This team went to the World Series last year and has a lot of those players still on their roster, and they made additions in the offseason and at the trade deadline to help boost their chances, again, of going back to the World Series. And the Red Sox were coming into a place that is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest, places to play on the road as a visitor in general, but not to mention a visitor in the postseason. Yankee Stadium is a place that is incredibly hard to play as the opposing team. And they blocked out the noise and they were able to get it done. And a lot of that had to do with the exceptional performance of Garrett Crochet. Now, I had my doubts and concerns about this game going into it. Not necessarily because I didn't trust Garrett Crochet. I mean, he is our ace and a top 3 pitcher in the league for a reason, but mainly because I felt like there could be a chance that he would go into that game and not be able to handle the pressure that he was given. Not be able to go in there and pitch at the level of dominance that we are used to seeing him pitch at, because the environment at Yankee Stadium would be too much for him. He gave up a couple of early base runners in the first inning, but was able to settle in after that, and wow, was he dominant. He threw 7 2/3 innings. Alex Cora really pushed him in this game to be able to go into the 8th inning. He threw 117 pitches with 78 of those going for strikes. His ERA, a 1.17, because his only mistake, a solo home run versus Anthony Volpe. He recorded 11 strikeouts and 0 walks. Oh, and by the way, in the midst of all of this, he retired 17 Yankees in a row. That's crazy. He was so dominant, and he didn't look at all like the moment was too big for him. He felt comfortable out there, and he dominated. that's all there is to it. And it really goes to show that the Red Sox made the right choice by trading for him in the offseason. Yes, you can talk about the players they gave up, but that's such an in hindsight thing at this point because the Red Sox have gotten everything that they need and more from Garrett Crochet. And particularly right now, with the Red Sox right now and where they are at and how they desperately needed an ace going into this season, the fact that they were able to get that in Garrett Crochet was massive. And now he had a postseason start. So now he's really feeling it. He's feeling confident. And if the Red Sox can win this series, hopefully he'll go into his next start feeling on top of the world. He was smiling when he got pulled in the 8th inning, and rightfully so. He deserves all of the props for his performance in last night's game. He kept the Red Sox in it because the Red Sox were down 1-0. They really could not get much going offensively against Max Fried. He was also incredibly dominant. He threw 6 1/3 innings, giving up 4 hits, but no runs with 3 walks and 6 strikeouts. He threw just 102 pitches, though, with 63 of those going for strikes. So Yankees fans are not happy that Aaron Boone didn't let him pitch deeper into the game and that they went to some bullpen arms. But Garrett Crochet is also younger than Max Fried, so his arm at this point may be able to take more. Maybe Max Fried can't handle throwing 120 pitches, and maybe they want to make sure that his arm is feeling good for if they advance. But you do have to do what you need to do to advance before you can think about upcoming starts. So Garrett Crochet pitched at a level that was not surprising for him as a pitcher, but with the environment he was in, it makes it really incredible. And he actually predicted how this was going to go with Alex Cora. He made a promise to Cora during the team's workout on Monday ahead of his start in game 1 that Alex Cora was going to make just one call to the bullpen, which was going to be going straight to closer Aroldis Chapman to have him finish off a win over their rivals. No more bullpen calls, only one to bring in the closer because Crochet was basically saying, I am going to dominate and you're not going to need to use anybody else. And that's exactly how it worked out. He certainly made good on his guarantee with that start that he had against the Yankees, and it really helped set the tone for a massive, hopefully, series win that this Red Sox team is going to have. Because once you win the first one, you have confidence going into the next game. All of the pressure is on the Yankees now to win this series. And going into the series, there already was more pressure on the Yankees anyway, because they're the ones who went to the World Series last year. They're the ones with the veteran team with guys who have the playoff experience. The Red Sox are the team that's going into this as the underdogs with a young roster and tons of inexperienced players when it comes to the postseason, and a team that people weren't really sure was going to make the playoffs. So the pressure's all on the Yankees, and even more so now because of the fact that the Red Sox won game 1. And since the 3-game wild card series was implemented fully in the 2022 season, every team that has won game 1 of the wild card series has gone on to win that game. And the majority of those have been sweeps. When a team wins game 1 of a 3-game wild card series, the chances are incredibly high of them going on to win that series because it has happened every time. So the Red Sox put themselves in a really good spot behind Garrett Crochet, and he really was not in a ton of trouble in this game. After that first inning, when he kind of calmed down a little bit and outside of the solo home run to Volpe, he was basically unhittable the rest of the start. And we've seen that from Crochet many times over the course of the season. But the postseason is a different animal. And the fact that he was able to pitch so deep into this game and go into the 8th really helps the bullpen, because now the only bullpen arm who will not be available for the rest of the series is Chapman. Everybody else will be free for game 2. Garrett Whitlock, a high leverage arm who the Red Sox could go to. Greg Weissert, Justin Wilson, Justin Slayton, Steven Matz, all of those guys will be rested and good to go for game 2, which gives the Red Sox an advantage over the Yankees because Aaron Boone had to use more of his relievers in the game last night than Alex Cora did. A good manager goes from his ace to a closer to win the game. He goes from his ace to his closer. Those two pitch, and the team comes out with a win. And that is exactly what happened in this game. Garrett Crochet was so excited to be part of that environment. Now, he had pitched in 4 playoff games before last night, but all of those were relief appearances with the White Sox in 2020 and 2021. And last season was when he transitioned to a starter and immediately excelled, though with a limited workload for that White Sox team that was so historically bad that they ended up deciding that trading him was the best move. And I'm so glad that the Red Sox were able to acquire him. And I would argue that outside of the home run, he actually may have pitched better than Max Fried. Max Fried certainly was lights out in that the Red Sox couldn't really hit or score against him, but the Red Sox had multiple opportunities. They had twice in which they had scenarios in which they had base traffic early on in the game and could not drive and run. So Fried kind of faced a little bit more trouble, whereas Crochet did not allow these Yankees players to get into scoring position. So if you take their head-to-head numbers from this game and you look at the overarching picture and how things went down in this game, you could make the argument that Garrett Crochet out-pitched Max Fried overall. He just made one mistake with placement and gave up a solo home run. But what a phenomenal performance by Crochet, and him going out there and doing what he did sent a serious message that he is a true number one and that the Red Sox made a fantastic choice by trading for him, and he put the Red Sox in a great position moving forward. Why? I'm going to be discussing more that happened in this big, crucial Game 1 win for the Boston Red Sox and why they're hopefully set up to win this series. If you're looking to go to one of these playoff games or any other live event, the energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, there really is nothing like it. And Gametime can give you that opportunity today. Gametime is the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. It's literally the only ticketing vendor I use now because it really will save you lots of money compared to what other ticketing vendors will do. Speaking of money, if you want to better manage your money, head to Monarch Money. A lot of people can't even name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. I started using it because my life is so busy and I didn't really have time to organize my finances, and I didn't really know a lot of what I was paying for. And Monarch helped me discover unnecessary expenses that I had, like subscriptions and things that I didn't necessarily need to pay for. And it really saved my life and has allowed me to save lots more money now. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. I'm telling you, if you want to better save money and be more responsible with it, Monarch Money will help weed out anything that's an unnecessary expense that you don't necessarily need anymore. So I highly recommend checking out Monarch Money and being able to better manage your finances. What a win for the Boston Red Sox. This Game 1 victory in the Bronx was massive. It sets the tone and sends a message that, hey, we are still here And those people out there who were saying we don't belong in the playoffs or we are going to get eliminated early because we're just going to roll over against the Yankees. This team showed that that is not the case. Obviously, this series is far from over. Still 2 games that potentially could be played, and the Yankees could still win those next 2 games. But this is huge for momentum, and it's helping the Red Sox players to see that they really can do this. The Yankees opened the door for them, and now that that door is open, the Red Sox need to go and take advantage of that. And one person who definitely is smiling about all of this and the way that things have gone is Craig Breslow, Chief Baseball Officer. All smiles right now. This was a big night for him last night that sent a message that he knows what he's doing more than people think. Yes, he may have no personality, and he might come across like he doesn't really care a whole lot when he's talking to the media because his responses are very generic and he doesn't show a lot of emotion and he's very analytical. But a lot of the Craig Breslow acquisitions were a big part of the win last night. One of them being Alex Bregman. With the Red Sox up 2-1 late in the game, I said, wow, it would be very nice if we could get some insurance right now. And sure enough, Alex Bregman provided that. In the top of the 9th inning, Trevor Story singled to left and then stole second base. He is such a good base stealer. We saw it all season long, so I'm glad he put that on display in last night's game too. And then Alex Bregman doubled to left to score him. So that was a huge insurance run for the Boston Red Sox. So for a lot of this season, people were saying, wow, why did we pay Alex Bregman? He has not been good lately, and he hasn't been able to come through when we need him offensively. And that's a very reasonable thing to say because, yes, he has been struggling at the plate over the last month plus, but he needs to come through in big moments in order to justify what he's making from the Red Sox right now. And that is surely a big moment that he came up big in because when you're up by 1 run, and the Yankees have the top of their order coming up in the bottom of the 9th inning, you need to do whatever it takes to give your closer a little bit of a more comfortable lead. And Alex Bregman, who was acquired by Craig Breslow in the offseason, said, I've been there, done that. I live for the playoff environment. I need to get this team another run across the board. And that is exactly what he did. So Alex Bregman won a big contributor in this game. Garrett Crochet, who I already talked about, number 2, a big contributor in this game, being the guy who kept the Red Sox in it for the entirety of the time. They were down 1-0 because he gave up a home run. But if he had started to slack a little bit and had gotten pulled, then maybe the bullpen would have allowed the Yankees to score more runs. Who knows? Or if he just started to not pitch well or made another mistake, then the outlook of this game is completely different. So Garrett Crochet is the one who primarily kept the Red Sox in this game and allowed them the opportunity to come back and win it. So another Breslow acquisition that made an impact. And third, Aroldis Chapman. I mean, it goes without saying that he is having one of the best seasons of his career right now. But let's be real. Not a lot of people saw that coming, myself included. Not a lot of people thought that Aroldis Chapman was going to have this big career year this year. But sure enough, that's where we're at. And he did. And it made me a little bit nervous when Alex Cora decided to bring him in the 8th inning to get the final out of that inning because he's usually not a 4-out save kind of guy. But Crochet had started the inning, and then he struck out Grisham, and then Volpe singled to center, who just was seeing him really well last night because he also hit the home run earlier in the game. And then he struck out Wells looking, their catcher Austin Wells. So then he was pulled after that, after the strikeout. And then Aroldis Chapman came into the game, and he seemed very fixated on this base runner. He kept trying to throw down to first to try to pick off Anthony Volpe, and it ended up costing him because Volpe ended up getting to second base on a disengagement violation, meaning Chapman was not physically focused and in the right body position to be able to throw the pitch, but rather was too focused on him. So he got to second base, but then Chapman got Caballero to fly out to right field to end the inning. So I was skeptical about that because I said, wow, is he still going to pitch as effectively in the ninth now, because he's not usually a 4-out save kind of guy. And things were looking very bumpy and rocky for him because he gave up 3 straight hits to begin the bottom of the ninth inning. A single to Goldschmidt, a single to Judge, and a single to Bellinger. So 3 straight singles to load the bases with nobody out. And Giancarlo Stanton was up. And at this point, when I was watching it, I thought for sure that the Red Sox were going to blow this game. I said, wow, they are going to walk this off in some way, shape, or form. Stanton could hit a grand slam right now. I was trying to mentally prepare for all of that and said, well, we had a 2-run lead. Now they have the bases loaded. They're going to find a way. And I am so happy I was wrong. Aroldis Chapman buckled down. He struck out Stanton swinging and then got Jazz Chisholm Jr. to fly out to right and then got Grisham to strike out swinging. So he executed big-time pitches in a big-time moment when the Red Sox needed him the most. That is why he's likely going to be a Hall of Fame closer. The everyday closer does not get out of that unscathed. But Aroldis Chapman buckled down and said, hey, I have had a phenomenal season for this Red Sox team. This is my former team. I want to pitch against them and get out of this to send a message that I am still here and I'm still the dominant version of Aroldis Chapman as I was when I was playing for the Yankees. So he went out there and he really buckled down. So another Breslow acquisition that made a huge impact on this game. If they didn't have Chapman out there, what would have happened? So ultimately, he was able to close it out, but he did throw a lot of pitches in this game, which will make him unavailable for tonight's game. But that's okay because the good news is he was the only reliever used, just like Garrett Crochet said would happen. He threw 24 pitches with 19 of those going for strikes. So it's not like his command was really off. He just was getting hit to begin that bottom of the ninth inning. But he was able to get the job done. And that is exactly what matters. And the fact that he recorded the 4-out save will give Alex Cora so many options out of the pen for game 2. So those 3 players that I mentioned were all Craig Breslow acquisitions in the offseason, and they all made a huge difference. And it really does go to show that Breslow was on to something when he decided to acquire guys like that, because he, in his mind, was probably saying, okay, we need to get some veterans on this team to surround the young talent with. We have a lot of young guys here who are still working on prospering and growing their game, and guys who, if we make the postseason, have no idea what playoff baseball is like, and they could use having some veterans around them who have been there, done that. And that's exactly what Chapman and Bregman provide, guys who have been in that spot before. So it was certainly a big night for Craig Breslow, but a big night for a couple other players too. Masataka Yoshida recorded a big hit in this game. And one thing that is going a little bit unnoticed that isn't really being talked about is Nick Sogard's contribution to that. So in the 7th inning, with the Red Sox down 1-0, Jarren Duran grounded out to first base, and then Cedar Rafaela took a walk. So this is where things become notable, because after Rafaela's walk, then Nick Sogard hit the ball to right field on the ground, and Rafaela was able to go to third on it, but Nick Sogard stretched that from a single to a double, and it wasn't a guaranteed double. There are a lot of players in which that is a single. So Nick Sogard stretched that into a double and was able to reach second base safely. That completely changed the tone of the game. And ultimately, if you're looking back on it now, was one of the biggest reasons why they won this game, because then Masataka Yoshida came in to pinch hit for Rob Refsnyder, and he singled in his at-bat to drive in both Rafaela and Sogard. So why is this notable? Because if Sogard hadn't advanced to second on his hit and it was first and third, then the Yankees infield would be positioned a little bit differently. So with the way that they were positioned, there was not a chance of a double play ball because it wasn't a double play scenario with the Red Sox having runners on second and third. So rather, if it was first and third, based on where they would have been positioned at that point to prepare for a double play, it easily could have been a double play based on where Yoshida hit it and how fast the ball was going, that if Sogard was still on first base, that could have been a double play and it would have ended the inning. But instead, because of Sogard doing his thing, it allowed Yoshida to drive him in and the Red Sox to take a big, big lead that they would not relinquish. So he definitely deserves credit there, Sogard, and 100% Yoshida too, who's been the Red Sox hottest hitter as of late. This was Alex Cora pushing the right buttons. Again, pinch hitting guys who he felt were going to be good in those moments. So there's a lot you can look back on that went right in this game for the Boston Red Sox, but that absolutely does not mean it wasn't stressful. And coming up, will tonight's game be just as stressful or more? It could be, and you're about to find out. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. My husband loves sports betting. He got into it relatively recently, but he's won lots of money on it. And if you're looking to also win that kind of money, definitely download FanDuel today because you can bet on so many different types of sports and it will help you make the best parlay for you to be able to maximize your money. So definitely download the app. Not only did the Red Sox take care of business in game one of the wild card series, but they also sent a message to people that they are here, they are hungry, they want to be in the postseason, and they are amped up and ready to go. Now, the biggest test moving forward is going to be, can they carry that momentum into game two? Because now that they've won game one, they can't celebrate that too much because they still have to win this series. So going into that game, hopefully they've gained some confidence knowing that they got a little bit used to the Yankee Stadium environment in the playoffs and that they could kind of get out of their heads about whatever they were in their heads about. And now that they have that exposure, they can come into game two and take care of business there. But another reason why winning game one was so important is because Brayan Bello is on the bump for the Red Sox in game two. Now, Brayan Bello at Yankee Stadium over the course of his career has been very, very strong. And he usually pitches well against the Yankees in general, but in particular, when he's on the road. He has a 5-4 record with an ERA of 2.35 and 53 strikeouts and 11 appearances against the Yankees in his career. He just has always pitched well against them. So while I like that aspect of it, and I like the idea of Bello being out there because of his success rate against the Yankees, and particularly at Yankee Stadium, I also have some hesitations about it because he has not pitched well in the month of September. And it's been really tough to watch because I always want to root for him. I always want him to play well. And his struggles over the course of this month have been really difficult to watch because I don't want to see him just completely plummet at the end of the season with how deep of a playoff run they make. So the biggest thing I am going to be looking at here is, for one, command, because if he has no command of the strike zone, it could be a very long outing for Brayan Bello. That is the biggest thing that I am looking for from him. For number two, just like with Garrett Crochet, how is Brayan Bello going to respond to the pressure of a playoff environment? Because we could talk all we want about a player's successes and how well they performed over the course of the season, but we also do have to remind ourselves that the playoffs are a different atmosphere. And while Brayan Bello in the regular season in his career has pitched well against the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. It's just such a different animal with that crowd that's behind him. So he needs to try his best to block that crowd out of it, even though it will be tough for him. So if he struggles, that would be really unfortunate. If the Yankees take game 2, that would be unfortunate because then they have all the momentum to close it out at home in 3 games. I don't feel confident that if the Red Sox drop game 2, that they could then go and win this series. Obviously, this team has surprised us multiple times this year, so not by any means saying that it's impossible or that it wouldn't happen, but the chances of them winning a game 3 on the road, if the Yankees win game 2 in that type of environment, that could be tough. And also, I would like the Red Sox to close it out in 2 games because Connolly early is the favorite right now to start game 3 of the series if it gets there. And the biggest thing for me is putting a rookie out there who's only made a handful of starts in Major League Baseball, putting him in there to go out there and expect him to pitch at a really high level at Yankee Stadium in a do or die game in the postseason. It just feels like a lot of pressure to put on a kid like that. So ideally, if the Red Sox could close it out tonight with Bello on the bump and not have to worry about Connolly early pitching in that scenario, that 100% would be ideal. And the Red Sox just need to show up in order to make that happen. The bats need to show up and everybody needs to back Bello as much as they can because this is going to be a big game. I am happy, ecstatic really, with how the results of game 1 went, but I am definitely not talking about this and assuming that the Red Sox have this series in the bag because crazier things have happened. And if the Red Sox go out there and they lose game 2 with Bello on the mound, but it's a close game, at least they can then go into game 3 saying, all right, last night sucked, we lost, but at least we stayed competitive. If they lose in completely dominating fashion, they could say, all right, this game was a wash. It was just a bad game. But mentally, they'll have it in the back of their heads of, wow, are we really that good? Like, can we truly beat the Yankees? And it could impact their abilities to perform well in game 3. So I don't really want to entertain the idea of a game 3, but I definitely am happy with entertaining the idea of the Red Sox winning game 2 and closing it out then so that we're not putting all kinds of pressure on somebody in an elimination game in the Bronx. So the Red Sox have to take care of business behind Brayan Bello. The offense needs to step up. They are facing Carlos Rodon, who doesn't have the best postseason numbers in his career. So I'm hoping the Red Sox can get to him early. The Yankees have just seen Brayan Bello so much that he's going to have to get creative and innovative. So we'll see how he's able to handle that. But thank you so much for always tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of every single day. Make sure that all the way up until a World Series champion is crowned, you are tuning into Locked On MLB Game Night, which is available on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's our local experts going over every game every single night. You definitely will not want to miss that. I promise you, it's a great show. But definitely make it your second listen if Locked On Red Sox is your first. So now feels like a more appropriate time than ever to say, keep the faith. When people count them out, they find a way. Keep the faith, find a way, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.